The Trump budget balances itself on the backs of working families, middle-class folks, senior citizens, the poor, the sick, the afflicted, as well as rural America. It does this, in my humble opinion, largely to just provide a massive tax cut to the wealthiest 1 or 2% of the people in this great country. That's reckless and that's irresponsible. Now, the Trump budget, as proposed, balances itself and eliminates the deficit in 10 years. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And part of the reason why it's able to balance itself is that it assumes that there will be increased revenue in the amount of $2 trillion connected to exponentially more significant job growth. Is that right?
It assumes that if you're referring to the GDP growth, because I don't know if we talk about full-time. We do
economic growth, yeah.
Yeah, it's economic growth. We do have some numbers on their unemployment as well. But yes, you're correct. That we do assume additional government revenues through economic growth.
And that's $2 trillion in additional revenue, not 2 million or 2 billion, $2 trillion in additional revenue. Is that right?
I think that's right. Yes, sir. It's 2.1220. I can't remember the exact number.
And the projected economic growth of approximately 3% is due in large measure to the theory that significant tax cuts disproportionately benefiting the wealthy and the well-off will stimulate the economy. Is that right?
Congressman, that's part of it. When we looked at the CBO baseline of 1.9, the way that we moved towards 3.0 included tax reform, but it also included regulatory reform, which we think actually can have a larger impact on GDP. It included our trade policies, our infrastructure spending. So there was a basket of policies that we think moved us from 1.9 to 3.0.
But it's fair to say that a substantial part of the theory as to the increased economic growth is anchored in your strong, authentic, principled belief in tax cuts. Is that right?
Again, it depends on what your definition of substantial part is. We also assumed the repeal of Obamacare, which the CBO said actually added 0.1% to economic growth.
Okay, there's no scintilla of evidence, certainly for the last 25 years, that tax cuts in part are responsible for stimulating any meaningful economic growth. Is that fair?
No.
Okay, well, let's look at the record, at least at the federal government level. Bill Clinton was president for 8 years, and during his 8-year presidency, there was substantial economic growth. Is that correct?
That is a true statement, yes, sir.
And the tax rate when Bill Clinton came into office was at 31%, correct?
I don't remember the tax rate, Congressman.
Okay, we can stipulate the highest tax rate. It's easily ascertainable, 31%. He immediately, with the support of Congress, changed that top tax rate from 31% to 39.6%, correct?
Again, Congressman, I don't remember. I was not paying much attention to national politics in the mid-1990s.
Okay, and 20 million plus jobs were created during the 8 years of the Clinton presidency, true?
I believe there was substantial economic growth. I don't remember the number of jobs.
Okay, George Bush was elected president in 2000, correct?
That is correct.
And the top tax rate at the time was 39.6%, true?
Again, Congressman, I take you at your word.
Okay, thank you. And the Bush tax cuts that were put into place in 2001 and 2003 resulted in the top tax rate being dropped from 39.6% to 35%, correct?
I think that's correct.
And how would you characterize economic growth and job creation during the Bush presidency?
Congressman, if you're trying to get me to say that the cause of the Clinton economic boom was an increase in taxes, and that the cause of the recession of 2008 was a decrease in taxes, you're just not going to get me to go there. If we could tax our way to prosperity, we would have done it a long time ago.
I'm just asking a factually based question. Actually, during the 8 years of the Bush presidency, when the top tax rate was dropped, this country lost 400,000 jobs. Now, during the subsequent 8 years, we've got, again, 25 years of a record here. Barack Obama comes into office, the top tax rate is 35%. It's raised to 39.6%. And during the Obama presidency, 12 million private sector jobs were created. I simply say that there is no evidence anchored in any reality as to this theory of dynamic scoring and trickle-down economics yielding substantial economic growth. I yield back.